1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Daman Zaman. The headlines. The Prime Minister has said network of social welfare projects will be expanded to benefit the deserving segments of the society. Talking to media persons at Kallar Seda in District Rawalpindi today, Imran Khan said corrupt practices in the Senate elections are a negation of democracy. The Foreign Minister has urged the diplomats to be more articulate and think out-of-box solution to issues. The 37th martyrdom anniversary of prominent Kashmiri leader Muhammad Maqbool Butt will be observed on both sides of the line of control tomorrow. Palestinian factions including Fatah and Hamas have agreed on a mechanism for upcoming legislative and presidential elections. The first T20 match of the three-match series between Pakistan and South Africa will be played in Lahore tomorrow. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan has said network of social welfare projects will be expanded to benefit the deserving segments of the society. Addressing a ceremony at Kallar Seda in District Rawalpindi today, he said financial assistance is aimed at easing up the difficulties of the deserving people. Imran Khan assured that the government will extend every possible support to beneficiaries in areas of education, health and housing. The Prime Minister said undergraduate scholarships will be given to poor students to ensure their inclusion in the mainstream system. In the area of housing, the Prime Minister said the government had launched the construction of affordable residences under the Naya Pakistan housing project. He said the government will provide 10 billion rupees as interest-free loans as house building finance to deserving people. Prime Minister Imran Khan says corrupt practices in the Senate elections are a negation of democracy and vote purchase as a big question mark over the credibility of the politicians. Talking to media persons at Kallar Seda and Tehsil of Rawalpindi district today, he said a big question lies ahead whether to go for the Senate polls with the old corrupt system or to act transparent instead. The Prime Minister recalled that the ousted 20 MPs from his party who took money for votes in the last Senate elections, and some of them also invoked the jurisdiction of the court against the action. He said the alliance of opposition parties is making efforts to protect their corruption and ill-gotten money. He said we want to change the system for the benefit of the country and to end corruption. The Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has urged the diplomats to be more innovative and acquaint themselves with modern demands of diplomacy to achieve goals efficiently and effectively. Addressing the graduation ceremony of a diplomatic course in Islamabad today, he said a series of reforms have been instituted in the Foreign Ministry, which is today more open to inputs for policy formulation. The Foreign Minister said our diplomats need to be more articulate and effective team members who think out of the box and deliver results. He said specialized cells, including crisis management and Kashmir cells, have been established to deliver better results. The head of the three-member government's committee, Defence Minister Parvez Khattak, has said all the matters with the federal government employees will be sorted out amicably and with mutual understanding. Addressing a news conference in Islamabad today, he said the government is ready to extend a relief to the employees in the form of a special allowance till the presentation of the next budget. Parvez Khattak said recommendations of the Pay and Pension Commission would be incorporated in the next budget. The Interior Minister Sheikh Rashid Ahmed said we want to move ahead with labourers and resolution of their issue as our foremost priority. The 7th edition of the multinational maritime exercise Aman 2021 will begin in Pakistani waters from tomorrow. The 6-day exercise has the slogan Together for Peace and comprises 2 phases, a harbour phase and a sea phase. 45 countries, along with the surface and air assets, special operation forces, maritime teams, senior officers, and observers are participating in the exercise. The United Nations Economic and Social Council is considering various options to mobilize financing for the coronavirus-hit developing countries to enable them to avoid economic collapse. The President of the Council and Pakistan's permanent representative to the United Nations, Munir Akram, briefing the media persons in New York, said measures are aimed at ensuring that the developing countries recover from the devastating pandemic in a more resilient, sustainable way. He also re-emphasized the need for ensuring equitable access and distribution of coronavirus vaccine to control the pandemic. This is Radio Pakistan. The 37th martyrdom anniversary of prominent Kashmiri leader Muhammad Maqbool Butt will be observed on both sides of the line of control tomorrow, with a renewed pledge to continue the struggle till the realization of inalienable right to self-determination. The Azad Jammu and Kashmir government has announced to observe Yawm-e-Azm-e-Naw tomorrow to pay tributes to the Kashmiri martyrs. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, a complete shutdown will be observed tomorrow to mark the martyrdom anniversary of Muhammad Maqbool Butt. The call for the shutdown has been given by the All Parties Hurriyat Conference, Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front, and other pro-freedom organizations. India had hanged Muhammad Maqbool Butt in New Delhi's Tihar jail on the 11th of February in 1984 for his leading role in Kashmir's ongoing freedom movement and buried him in the premises of the prison. The All Parties Hurriyat Conference and other Hurriyat leaders and organizations paying rich tributes to Muhammad Maqbool Butt said sacrifices of the Kashmiri martyrs will not be allowed to go waste and their mission will be accomplished at all costs. The 7th edition of the Multinational Maritime Exercise Aman 2021 will begin in Pakistani waters from tomorrow. The 6-day exercise has the slogan Together for Peace and will have 2 phases, a harbour phase and a sea phase. In Afghanistan, 9 security personnel were killed and 5 others wounded during clashes with militants in Nimroz province, according to the Afghan official sources. The clashes took place in Muar village of Khashrod district when the Taliban attacked a security outpost in the area. Palestinian factions, including Fatah and Hamas, have agreed on mechanisms for the upcoming legislative and presidential elections. A joint statement at the end of the 2-day session of different Palestinian factions in Cairo, Egypt, said all Palestinian factions pledged to abide by timetable for long-delayed balloting and respect and accept the results. The parliamentary and presidential polls are set for May 22nd and July 31st, respectively. In the first 15 years, China has reiterated its principled stance on the expansion of United Nations Security Council and sought a package solution for the interests and concerns of all the parties. This was stated by the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin during regular briefing in response to a question regarding India's candidature for permanent membership of the United Nations Security Council. The spokesperson said China supports reasonable and necessary reform of the United Nations Security Council to increase the representation and voice of the developing countries. The United Nations and the United States have condemned the use of force against protesters in Myanmar who are demanding reversal of coup and release of deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi. In a statement, the United Nations representative in Myanmar, Ola Amgren, called on Myanmar's security forces to respect people's right to protest peacefully. In another statement, the spokesman of the American State Department, Ned Price, also repeated calls for military to relinquish power, restore democratically elected government, release detainees, lift all telecommunication restrictions and refrain from violence. Meanwhile, protest demonstrations continued for the 5th day today, vowing to keep up demonstrations until the military coup ended. Cricket. The first T20 of the three-match series between Pakistan and South Africa will be played in Lahore tomorrow. The match will begin at 1800 hours Pakistan Standard Time. And finally, the weather. Cold and dry weather is expected in most parts of the country, while very cold conditions are likely in Upper Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Kashmir, Gilgit-Baltistan and North Balochistan during the next 24 hours. And that is the end of this news bulletin. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and you can also watch the live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.